Hello, I'm SKZ and welcome to Fault, where Izuku jumped and now he torments Katsuki. Trigger warnings for mentions of blood and related. Depression. Rain. Raindrops. Heavy rain fell from the grey sky, covering the city as the rain made no distinction between anyone. Not even bodies. Not even the dead. And so it happened. The rain fell on the pavement where the body of the young student Izuku lay. It was a very bloody scene. Blood on the pavement, on the school walls, on his fragile body. However, his eyes were closed, a soft smile on his freckled face. It seemed that despite the scene, he had died in peace. Big lie. He was dead, and the sky seemed to know it. Sirens blared. Ambulances began to arrive. People began to gather. Tape was placed around Izuku's body. People murmured, covering their mouths and eyes. Izuku, a woman screamed. His mother, Inko, was there, being held back by some citizens and police officers who had arrived at the scene. Inko's agonizing sobs mingled with everything else. The sound of the rain, the sound of the murmurs. "Ma'am, please calm down," exclaimed a police officer, struggling to keep the woman from jumping toward her son's lifeless body. "No, it's my baby." "My baby," the woman sobbed in response, her face turning red. "Ma'am," another police officer next to her exclaimed, trying to get her attention. "We know it's your son, but we need you to calm down." And while the mother sobbed, the bully watched. Katsuki, his bully, the boy who had driven him to suicide. He was watching from a corner. He was shaking, his eyes so wide that they began to burn. He had watched everything. How Izuku climbed onto the roof, how he jumped, how he fell. Images that would never be erased from his mind, that would torment him for the rest of his life. His hands began to shake. He didn't know if it was fear or anger. But they shook even more when he saw Izuku's body being picked up and his mother collapsing on the ground, screaming. His mind could only think of what had he done. But at the same time, something was growing inside him. A determination to become a hero like Izuku wanted him to be. But he felt that he couldn't, that he would only cause more destruction, more deaths, more suicides. And with tears falling down his face, silent tears, he left. The day of the funeral arrived, and Katsuki was invited because Inko never knew the whole truth about the bullying. However, from the day of the death until the day of the funeral, Katsuki had felt and heard strange things. The night before, he couldn't sleep. He felt a pair of eyes watching him. Every time he closed his eyes, his mind was filled with screams, with that image of Izuku's body. However, this was nothing compared to what happened the night after Izuku's suicide. For a moment, he swore he saw him there, in his room, his face shattered, but his eyes were filled with rage and anger. He closed his eyes. He tried to clear his mind and refocus on the funeral. When he managed to calm down a little, he opened his eyes again. Just then, he felt a hand on his arm. He jumped, his heart beating fast. Katsuki. It was Izuku's mother. Her voice was soft but broken by tears. Katsuki gently turned around, trying to ignore his nervousness. "Are you okay?" Inko asked. Katsuki nodded. "Why yes," Inko took his arm. "Katsuki, come on, you have to go in. See him one last time." Katsuki flinched again. "Yes, see him?" "Yes, Katsuki. You were his partner his whole life." Oh, if she knew the truth, if she knew that the image they presented to their mothers was so different from the real one. If she knew that her son was dead because of her. But he couldn't tell her. If he told her, it would make her suffer even more. Sure, that was all he said. Inko smiled gently and led him to the coffin where Izuku lay. Katsuki swallowed and looked at him. Oh, my God. He looked just like he did that night in his dream. He recognized himself, but there were many stitches covering his face. This must be a nightmare. He couldn't breathe. He couldn't feel his legs. His gums and hands were tingling. Katsuki. He turned around quickly. "Are you okay?" There was Izuku's mother again. "Why yes, I am fine," he replied softly before turning back to the coffin. This time the vision was different. Izuku looked normal. He had a smile on his face and there were no visible wounds. Katsuki froze. That night when Katsuki came home, he didn't eat. He didn't say hello. His parents were worried and tried to get his attention, especially Mitsuki, who, although she was a strict mother, didn't think Katsuki was doing well that night. However, they couldn't do anything because Katsuki decided to lock himself in his room. All they could do was respect. However, inside, Katsuki was honestly not doing well at all. He was sitting in a corner, breathing heavily. His mind was full of things. One of those things was, ever since he decided to see Izuku both times at the funeral, he could feel that something was wrong. He couldn't tell if he was hallucinating. Maybe it was stress. I don't know. Maybe the feeling of guilt that still weighed on his shoulders. Ugh. He brought his hands to his head, squeezing his blonde locks. I'm paranoid, he whispered to himself. Maybe it was just my imagination. Yes, just that, he said to himself, trying to calm down, trying to control his breathing. Inhale, exhale, for several minutes. And when he felt he had managed to relax, bang, the window opened, the icy night breeze rushing into the room like a wild animal. Katsuki jumped, trying not to scream at the sudden interruption. Quickly and without thinking, he got up and went to the window. This thing was locked. How did it open? He wondered as he closed the window, fighting against the breeze that opposed him. She let out a grunt when he finally managed to close the window. It's nothing, he began to repeat to himself. I'm just stressed. I need to sleep. And so he did. He went to sleep. 2 years have passed since Izuku's death, and Katsuki has enrolled at Yui with the goal of becoming a hero to honor Izuku's memory. However, his path has not been easy. Every night, something tormented him. The windows would open, voices would whisper to him, and he would have nightmares. These nightmares always involved Izuku, who seemed to hate him and hold a grudge against him. Izuku would appear covered in blood, pale, and without pupils. He would always mock him, but Katsuki could never hear what he was saying. He couldn't sleep, getting only 2 or 3 hours of sleep, which caused dark circles to begin to flood his face. And besides, he had softened. Since Katsuki entered UA, his classmates knew that Katsuki was not well, that there was something locked inside him. Mina whispered to Kirishima, worried about their friend. Aizawa, the teacher, was alert to any changes in Katsuki, how he was changing, how he was acting, especially since he seemed tormented in class, looking everywhere, holding his things tightly, even holding onto his chair. And yet, one day, when he was planning to ask Katsuki what was wrong, Katsuki simply came to him. It was a Wednesday afternoon. Aizawa was in the teacher's lounge, and Class 1A was in physical education. However, Katsuki did not join in. Sensei, Katsuki called from the doorway, looking haggard. Aizawa, who was immersed in some papers, immediately looked up. Ah, Bakugo, come in, he tried to say with a smile, inviting Katsuki to enter. And that's what he did. Katsuki entered and stopped in front of him. I can't take it anymore. I want to die. Aizawa's eyes widened. What do you mean? Katsuki clenched his fists. 2 years ago, I made a boy commit suicide. Now it haunts me day and night. I can't sleep. I can't do anything. Aizawa jumped to his feet after hearing these words. Bakugo, that's incitement to suicide. Katsuki raised his face, tears welling up in his eyes. I know, I just never had the guts to turn myself into the police. Aizawa sighed. Bakugo, we need to calm down. First, you have to seek psychological help. Second, you have to go to the police. Katsuki lowered his gaze, crying. I know, and I regret everything. If only I hadn't said that to him. If... He fell to his knees. Aizawa was alarmed and hugged him. Kid, calm down. Tomorrow you'll come with me. I'll take you to a psychologist. Katsuki sobbed. Aizawa didn't know what to do. He had never seen Katsuki cry before. Kid, do you want to stay here with me? I don't know. Shall we watch Cats? Katsuki stayed there all day. That night, when Katsuki went to sleep in his room, the nightmares were worse. The hallucinations had grown. He no longer just saw them, he also heard them. Kakun, come with me. He heard a voice similar to Izuku say once he entered the room. Katsuki turned around, paranoid. Deku. However, there was no one there. Ha ha. He then heard laughter in front of him. He turned around, and he saw him. Was it Izuku? But he was pale. His face was gaunt, with no pupils, and he was wearing that damn middle school uniform, bloodied and torn. Katsuki almost fell to his knees. Why can you become a hero and I can't? The figure asked. Katsuki looked at him with tears in his eyes. No, the figure laughed and slowly approached Katsuki. Katsuki froze, feeling a breeze. Cold, very cold. The figure stopped behind him. Handing you over to the police won't do anything. Come with me and rot with me in hell. Katsuki brought his hands to his head. No, this is just a hallucination. No, He lowered his head to the ground and began to bang it again and again and again and again. "You are not real! You are not real!" he screamed. And everything stopped when the window opened again and the cold night breeze came in. Katsuki raised his head, a trickle of blood running down his forehead. "I'm nothing but a murderer." He started crying again. "Deku is the one who should be here, not me." He looked up at the open window. Maybe I should join him. His decision was already made. He got up, took a pencil and a sheet of paper, and wrote a short letter saying everything he had done in his life and how he now regretted it all. Just as he finished, the rain began to fall. Not just any rain, but a storm. With one last look at the letter, he left it on his bed and left his room, heading for the dormitory roof. He climbed the stairs slowly, barely making a sound. His eyes were dull, his face gaunt. And finally, he reached the roof, struggling with the door that was locked. There, the rain began to soak him, wetting everything. His face, his clothes, his shoes. But he didn't care. He would never use any of this again. "Kakun," he heard the voice again, and saw Katsuki's figure once more, this time in front of him. Izuku's figure reached out his hand. "Join me." Katsuki's tears fell again, this time heavier, thicker, hiding in the rain. "Forgive me, Deku," he muttered through clenched teeth, unable to speak properly because of his crying. And he began to walk toward the edge, the thunder becoming even louder. When he reached the edge, he didn't hesitate to climb over the safety net. He sighed once he was on the other side of the net. Then he smiled, and he